Hello, welcome back. You're listening to Send Him Off. My name is Sam, and joining me, as always, is my ever-present podcasting partner, Alex. How's it going?
It's all right. It's good to be back. It's good to be back.
It
It
is
feels
good to
like
be
ages
back.
since the last time we did it, but we've had a little hiatus last
Yeah.
week, technical
Oh,
issues.
massive
But
technical issues. I'm on.
it's fine.
I've moved from the first, like the slowest computer in the world to the second. So that's why my camera looks like I'm on a 90s home
He's
video.
moving in 8-bit.
So
He is.
yeah, I
He's
am.
playing Flappy Bird over there.
This
That's the
camera, the
problem.
camera is so bad that the air around me is fluffy. Like I can see it. But yeah, we're back, and it's the return of what football means to me. I'm just gonna apologize now. I sound horrific, so anybody listening, it's like some awful ASMR, but with flu. So I'm just gonna apologize now. But we're joined by another comedian to add to our little collection. We're collecting them, and
We're racking them up. We are racking them up.
we do love a little comedian guest. We love it, and this guy, we went to see this guy last week. Was it? Yeah, last week.
Last week or the week before, I believe. Was it the
And it
week
was
before, Sean? Tell us.
Hey guys, yeah, it was. I guess it was the week before. Yeah, it was late January. It was the last Sunday
Yeah.
of January, and yeah, it was a good show. I did a show at the Cardiff Glee. Pleasure. You two crossed enemy lines to go into Cardiff.
Yeah, we did.
We did. Don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone.
But yeah,
We
it was
did.
a quality show. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
Cheers.
We'll talk a bit
Cheers,
more about
guys.
that later.
Yes,
But
we
yeah,
did.
as Sam said, it's the return of what football means to me. I cannot wait.
It is. So we always kick these off, Sean, with well, first of all, we know who you support, but you just want to tell everyone listening who's your team.
I am a lifelong Queens Park Rangers fan, but I did not grow up in London. But my dad grew up in Acton in West London, and his brothers were all QPR fans, so that's how I became one.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
But yeah, I love it. I always loved them. It goes in and out, I think, over a life, but I go as often as I can. I'm one of those football fans. I like QPR more when they're a bit crap, because there's been small times where we've threatened to get, like when the big money came in a few years ago. I just don't think it suited a team like QPR. Like, I think where we are now, even though it's frustrating, it probably suits us better, and I feel more affinity to the club in that way. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does make perfect sense, to be
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
does make
I
perfect
love
sense.
I love being a championship club. I love it. It's my favorite league. I love it.
I don't think it gets, like, because you're Swansea fans. I'm a QPR
Hmm.
fan. I think winning a lot of games in the Championship, for clubs like ours, that's as good as it can get realistically. Unless the Saudis buy you. It doesn't get any better. Like, it really doesn't.
No,
Right.
100%.
Let's
Right,
kick it
we'll
off.
kick off. Yeah.
The way we
Sam,
always
are
do.
you first or am I?
I don't know. We've got to do our little bit. We always do
Yeah, I
first.
know.
So
It doesn't matter. You go then.
Sean, we want you to give us something old, something new, something borrowed, and then something blue. So first of all, something old, your favorite retired player. It doesn't have to be QPR, it can be anybody, but it's up to you.
Favorite retire, whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to go with the name that came up for first, which was Zidane. Is just my favorite player ever.
Yeah.
He never played for QPR. But there was very briefly a very strong rumor that he was going to be the manager, but I don't
Really?
know
When? When was this?
This was during the crazy times when all the F1 people had invested in QPR, and they were
Right.
suddenly this. They were trying to turn them into this cool boutique club, and there was a big rumor saying Zinedine Zidane's about to be announced as the QPR manager. And they go, the next home game is going to be a huge announcement, and all the players will talk about it. And then the announcement was they'd slightly changed the badge. That was a bit of a letdown.
I would have been miffed. I would have been miffed.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. But I've got to go with that, really. Like, when I was growing up, I just thought I still think he was, in my lifetime, maybe my favourite player. I just loved him.
He was quality, but my favourite thing about Zidane was the way he went out. Everybody talks about it, but what a way to leave.
I mean, his last ever game was the World Cup final, and he gets sent off. Like,
With a headbutt.
talk about cementing your legacy.
Yeah,
Because also,
100%.
he was the best player in that tournament by a mile. Like, he basically carried that French team to the final. It's just unbelievable. Like, you couldn't
Yeah.
write it. You genuinely couldn't write it. But I loved him.
No, 100%.
I remember like back in the glory days, when the Champions League used to be on ITV. I used to just watch it with my dad, and I remember watching that goal he scored in the final
Oh, against Leverkusen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hampden Park, wasn't it?
Yeah, it
It's
was.
still maybe the best goal ever in a European Cup final. I think it's so
Yeah, no,
amazing.
it's brilliant.
I think Mr. Gareth Bale might have something to say about that, Sean. I
Well,
don't know.
there
I
you
don't
go.
know. So that's your something old, something new. So your favorite current footballer?
Well, Adol Taarabt isn't technically retired, but I don't know if I can name him. I don't know if I can name him as my favourite current footballer because I basically loved him for 2 years when he was at QPR.
What a romance that was, though.
That was the best. It was as good as it ever got. Who's my favourite current footballer? That's a really interesting question. I don't want to say Messi.
I was going to say you compared yourself though. You did compare yourself to Messi when you went on stage.
Yeah, I'm the Lionel Messi of stand-up comedy.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
No, I do look like him. People tell me all the time that I look like him.
We came to a conclusion of Messi just to move away from football for 2 minutes. Messi and Ben Davis put together.
I mean, I don't know what I meant to do with that. I mean, I would describe
It's a very handsome mix. A very handsome mix.
I don't know if they are a handsome mix.
I would say so.
Let me tell you something, Alex. Every year, I get told I look like a new person, and it's that guy is getting uglier every year. Like it used to be, people used to say like, you look like Christian Bale or like a young De Niro, and then they say Messi, and now you say like Ben Davies. I mean, I don't know who's next.
We got
you look like a loaf of bread or something.
Eric came on in the summer and said I look like Miguel Almiron. I was like, what do I do with that?
Who's my current? I'm trying to think of who my current favourite player. I'm just thinking of QPR players, which probably isn't the best.
Go for it. Go for it.
Do you know? I tell you who it is. My favourite current player is an ex-QPR player who now plays for Palace called Eze, who I just think I loved him so much, and I think he's so class because he's sort of a throwback. He's the type of player that is becoming less and less needed in the modern game because he's all vibes. He's a vibes-led player, and he's one of those players that when you go on his day, he's the best player on earth, which is fans I think really gravitate to, especially if you support sort of lower clubs. So I love Eze because he's sort of I knew he'd do it in the Premier League, but I think he's a genuinely very good Premier League player who's probably found his level and could be like a Matt Letizia-esque kind of talent for the next 10 years if he wants to be. Sort of always being the most exciting player at sort of lower mid-level clubs in the Premier League.
Alex, out of interest, who's the player that springs to mind with you on his day?
On his day?
Speaking as a Swansea fan, it's got to be Olivier Sham, surely.
He's
either incredible or he does nothing.
He'll either come on like off the bench, he'll be amazing, or you'll wish he never saw the bloke in the first place. Yeah. It's one or the other. But yeah,
that's another reason why the Championship is so great, is because it's filled with players who are like that. Like I do feel like an affinity to those players because those players represent more the average person. Yeah, in the sense that in some weeks
it's not always going to be good, man.
Yeah, some weeks they're amazing, and some weeks they're total turds. Yeah. And that's why I love it. I love the lower leagues way more than the top flight.
Definitely. Right. Something old, something new, something borrowed, please. Your favourite ever loaned in player.
So this is QPR.
The season that we won the Championship under Neil Warnock with the Taarabt mega season, we got, not many people remember this, but we got Kyle Walker on loan. This is pre-Kyle Walker being a big name, and he was absolutely incredible. Like, he was so incredible. So I'll probably say Kyle Walker. I remember him just marauding down the right flank. In the Championship, it was mad to have a player like that.
Just quickly now, what do you think of Ethan Laird, watching him?
What do you mean? In what way?
As a player, what do you think of him?
Yeah, I like him. I guess. I don't really know.
You have no opinion. You don't care. I don't
think I know who you mean, Ethan Laird. Am I forgetting someone?
Am I talking? He did go to QPR, didn't he, Sam?
He's on QPR. He's on loan now currently.
He's on loan now. He's United.
I've not watched enough this season, I'm afraid.
Oh,
but I was going to be open about this at the beginning because I've been touring so much. I've not been able to get to many games.
I should not really. I stuck you right under, but you've been very busy. You've been like all over the place, so there's no way you would have gone to watch them.
Fine. I've watched a few of the. I've just watched a few of the telly games, a few of the highlights. Why? How's he meant to be doing?
No, he's a good player. We had him last year, and he was outstanding. So you had a good little player on your hands there.
Well, the thing is, it's that I've got tickets to like 3 games in the next 3 months, which is exactly when the wheels seem to have completely come off this season. So like, I thought I was going to go and see a team that were like threatening to get into the top 6, and it looks like we're going to be potentially in a relegation fight. So
between you and Cardiff, it's between you and Cardiff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, something blue. Last one of the quick fire round. Something blue. So the players you were sadder, the player rather you were saddest to see leave the club.
I think. I mean, I will always be sad that Adil Tarap never had longer at QPR. I think he was badly managed by the people that came in after Warnock. We had like Mark Hughes, then Harry Redknapp, who were the wrong people for the club in many, many ways, but most because they just. It still really upsets me. The saddest people to leave the club. I mean, I'm such a romantic. I was really sad when Ian Holloway was turfed out on his first managerial appointment. But the one, I suppose it's the first breakup is always the hardest. So I think as a kid, when Trevor Sinclair was sold, that's when I knew, I support one of the crap teams now. I'm not.
That's what it is.
I'm not supporting one of the good teams. I'm supporting one of the crap teams. For the next few years. So probably
for the rest of my life.
For the next rest of my life. So probably that, I think. Yeah, that one really broke my heart as a kid.
It's a tough one, the first one, isn't it?
Speaking of firsts.
Yes.
Alex, do you want to lead?
Right, to kick it off, what is your earliest footballing memory?
That's a really interesting question. I don't know whether... I mean, I always was into it. Just always was into it. I was always playing it in the park. I was always playing it at school. I played for a team. I always loved it. If in terms of like going to games or big things, either I suppose when did QPR get relegated? My first ever game I went to was QPR's last stint in the initial Premier League. So I guess that was probably 95.
Yeah.
And I remember that. I remember QPR beat Aston Villa 1-0 and Trevor Sinclair scored. And I remember being at Loftus Road and thinking, I cannot believe there is a stadium so enormous in the world. I mean, isn't that like the most childish thing?
That's brilliant. We all remember it. We all remember our first time in the ground.
Yeah, 18,000 seat shithole Loftus Road. And I hate to say it on a Welsh podcast, I have very vivid memories of Euro '96 for England. That was definitely that was my first international tournament, and it was it definitely gave a false impression of what life as an England fan would be like.
What games did you go to? Just quickly on that.
I didn't go to any games.
You didn't? You watched it on TV.
I remember watching them, and I remember my dad going crazy.
Yeah.
I remember in a way that I'd never seen him go crazy for regular football, and sort of understanding that international football means more. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you feel that. Like, do you feel that like your dads or your parents or older people, like they go?
My dad's Romanian. He doesn't care.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you
doesn't
serious?
care about Wales. Yeah, no, I am, honestly. He's Romanian, so he doesn't care about Wales. Whenever Wales is on, he'll watch with me, but he's like, whatever. I'm going to go and cook some food.
Yeah, but in France, '98, it must have been loving life. Are you kidding me?
I don't know. That was the year I was born, so maybe he did enjoy it. I don't know. Maybe
Jesus
he did.
Christ, man. You got 10 years on me. That's so depressing. Well. Fair flips then. I get that. Yeah, my dad's a big football fan, and I think it's sort of club football he enjoys, but international football, I mean, it just does something to people. It does. Yeah. It does change people a bit.
Yeah,
no, I agree.
So that's the earliest memory. Sean, your biggest high as a football fan?
I can't. Well, look, I mean, I genuinely, in a weird way, it wasn't even because I've always loved England. I've always loved the international team. My biggest high as a football fan, right? It is between World Cup semi-final 2018 because that run just came out of nowhere, and there was an hour that England were ahead, and I just couldn't believe that England could have possibly been in a World Cup final. That hour was pretty special. This is so good. Look, I don't want to say that, not on this podcast, not to you.
That hour was so special.
I can't let this happen. So I'm going to have to go. I'm going to have to go long ball, studs up. I'm going to give you a proper Sam Allardyce answer. I was at the ground a few years ago when it was between QPR and Luton to get relegated from the Championship, and it was QPR 3, Luton 2. And this is how old this game was. Paul Furlong came on for his last ever game for QPR and scored a penalty in like the 87th minute, and it had been really back and forth. And that was probably the most exciting time I'd ever had as a football fan. So I'll go with that. By a sniff, I prefer Paul Furlong, you know, the thinking man's Harry Kane.
I like it.
Scoring against Luton, who also are such a jammy club. I mean, if you're going to knock anyone down, it should be Luton.
It has to be them. No, I agree.
How nice is it to see Nathan Jones completely failing though at Southampton?
He's Nathan Jones is really interesting because I grew up in Brighton and loads of my mates are Brighton fans, and Nathan Jones was like a big Brighton player for years.
Yeah.
And they all say, of all the players that Brighton had in that generation, Nathan Jones was the last one any of them thought would ever be a manager. They were like, he should be like working in a car park. he shouldn't be managing a top flight team. Yeah, he's an interesting guy, Nathan Jones. He seems really, because he's got a bit of bravado, but I think he's really insecure.
I think you might be right. I think you might be right.
I think he's really flustered by what's happening to him.
He doesn't quite believe where he is. Do you know what I
mean? No, and the truth is, the job he did at Luton was insane. Like,
yeah. Like, in fairness,
it was insane. So I don't know. I guess he deserves it, but he's doing pretty well at. Like, I don't know. He's weird. It feels like a glitch in the Matrix. Man. The fact that Nathan Jones is managing in the Premier League feels like a massive glitch in the Matrix.
Right, that's the highest point. Your lowest point as a football fan. Where's that?
That's really God. It's really hard. And the thing is, I think you probably feel the same as Swansea. When you support kind of a lower, kind of crap-ish team, it's hard to really pick. You know,
you got so many to choose. Yeah, we know,
mate. I think the entire Jose Basingwa debacle. I think that entire time.
I forgot he went there. I
think that entire sort of 2 years when QPR basically put 500 million into the team and got worse was the lowest point. Because you got we basically won the lottery twice. We hit the jackpot twice, and both times it made the club worse. And so you go, well, that's it. That's not happening for 50 years. It's ridiculous.
Do you just find yourself standing around looking at each other thinking, how was this happening? We've got £500 million and we're all just sort of standing there thinking, what's going on?
Yeah, we were. Yeah, I mean, I remember going to the grounds and it was like this excitement, of course, a bit. But I think there was a genuine sense because you sort of watch Newcastle now, and obviously they have way more money than QPR ever did. But they sort of, I think, are like, brilliant. We deserve this. This is going to be brilliant. QPR fans, we turned up. We were like, well, they've made a massive mistake. They've made a massive mistake. Like, I remember that year when Adel Taarabt was really good in the Championship, the chant was, there were two chants. It was, Taarabt's too good for you. But the other chant is, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? But that whole time was really hard because there was a team there that the fans really liked. And they weren't they were simple. You know, Clint Hill was like the most skillful player.
Clint Hill, yeah.
But then it was like, I would rather have 11 Clint Hills than like a Jose Basingwa, and then, they signed Rob Green and Julio Cesar and Ji-Sung Park. They signed a bunch of... They did everything you're not meant to do. They signed a bunch of massive players who were totally past their best. They were all like Mickey Rourke in The Wrestler. They were all that level of professional. So that was probably my lowest point because it was genuinely the one time that I was like, I would be fine if they lost. Like, I think it would be good for the team if this doesn't work. In hindsight, it would actually have been quite good if they'd stayed in the Premier League. But
yeah, looking back,
yeah, it's
would
one of
be
those
nice,
where
wouldn't it? Yeah.
I go, yeah, I'm like a purist. Like, I don't need that. I don't need success. And then you're staring.
Actually, yeah, it would be nice.
And then you're staring down the barrel of Lyndon Dykes, your top goal scorer with 6, and you go, oh god.
What?
I do miss Charlie Austin a little bit, actually.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, that's so that's the lowest point. Sean, what's your best away day that you've been to?
With QPR?
Yeah, or England, whoever.
Or England, yeah.
I've never seen England play. I've never seen.
Probably for the best.
Yeah, for the best for you guys. Best away day. What's the best away day I've ever been to? Well, I was at the I was oddly enough right in the middle of that. I mean, does it count as an away day? I was at the playoff final when QPR won it in the 90th minute when Bobby Samora scored a goal in the 90th minute. Yeah. I was there. I mean, that's
electric.
In amongst all of that crap period, and I suppose this was after the money was there. Really, the money had sort of dried up a bit. Which is why Harry Redknapp just walked away. But there was that moment where Bobby Zamora scored a 90th minute ago. QPR had been down to 10 men for most of the game. Derby had battered them. And then QPR snuck the winner. I mean, that was pretty mad. Because also I've been to one playoff final before that, which was against Cardiff, in Cardiff. This would have been like 2005. And QPR lost it in extra time. And the Cardiff fans were, and I'm sure you'd appreciate me saying this, dog rough, awful.
Yeah.
One of them threatened me. I was like, I'm a kid. One of them took my flag and snapped it. I'm like, I'm a kid.
Snapped my flag.
I was like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm a baby. Why are you doing this to me?
There was no need for that.
Yeah, there was no need. And that was really hard. So it was cool to, it's very rare you get to go to like a massive stadium with your team. And the fact that I'd done it once and we'd lost and I got to do it again and we'd won was really special. So if that counts, I'll definitely pick that.
You had the other way round, didn't you, Al? We won the first one.
Yeah, we won the first one. I went to the second one and we got absolutely battered 3-0.
Yeah. Which one was that? Who was that against?
Brentford we lost to a couple of years ago. That was.
God.
Yeah, I was. It was the one where the stadiums were allowed to be sort of opened a little bit. So we were thinking, this is great.
I remember that.
And we had an attitude going down thinking, we knew we weren't going to be the better team that day. So we were like, if we lose, we lose, it's fine. And the closer we got to the ground, the more we were thinking, don't really want to lose this. Kick off, I was like, I do not want to lose this game. And it was it. It was game over before it started. But yeah.
And that was the thing is that was at Wembley, and it is for me it's more just surreal being it.
Yeah,
I found being at Wembley so crazy.
It was very mad. Yeah, I remember when I went for the first time and I was looking around. I was like, it doesn't look how it looks on TV. No. It's so much bigger. It was mental.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And I remember a few Derby fans were saying stuff like, "Oh, because you're a London club, this must feel like a home game." And I was like, "Well, you've been here way more recently."
Yeah,
QPR haven't been at Wembley in 40 years.
Sure.
Yeah, it's cool though. It's cool. I hope you get another one soon.
Fingers crossed. We don't know about that.
So. Yeah.
You never know.
I mean, why not? The thing is, where are you in the league this year? At the
15th.
We anywhere between 15th and 7th, to be honest.
Yeah, that's
depending on the week.
That's the same as us. And I think the thing with the Championship is it's such a weird league. Like, I genuinely don't think you could ever call it until about 3 weeks from the end.
Yeah,
if that. But yeah,
really never. Like QPR are on a terrible run. If we win the next 2 games, we're right back in it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That is the thing. Right, we've had the best away day. What is on your football bucket list?
Well, I was actually talking about this earlier. I've never seen Messi play, and I might just spunk the money and go to Paris and see him while he's still playing in Europe.
Yeah,
because I wish I'd seen him at Barcelona. I'm not that type of guy who does that sort of stuff. I've never been that person who goes and. Like, I don't know why. I've got mates who do that thing, and I've never done it. And I think it does feel like Messi is sort of, he's such an all-timer, and he's playing in Paris, which is relatively close to the UK. And I looked at the website. You can just get tickets. Like they don't.
Oh, they're available.
They are available.
Right. Okay. Because I've been tempted. I have been tempted.
Send him off trip.
They are cheap.
Yeah.
When I looked, and I guess this was maybe a few weeks ago, but it was the league games tend to be on Sundays. You can get tickets for like €50, which is pretty reasonable given the players they've got. You can
it's
still get
tempting.
tickets to the Champions League. They're playing Bayern.
Hmm.
I mean, it's like 300 quid or something.
Yeah.
But a part of me goes like, I mean,
To
that
see
you're seeing Paris Saint-Germain against Bayern Munich. That's as good as it gets, really. But yeah, I think that's my bucket list is seeing Messi probably in
Is it
Europe.
Messi over Ronaldo for you?
Always, forever,
Yeah. Okay. Always, forever.
always. And
forever.
I honestly think it's like you might both be full blown Ronaldos. I'm sure some people listening to this might be like, no, Ronaldo's better. But like genuinely, football's about opinions. But like there are Messi's beyond. I just don't know how.
Yeah.
I just love him. I think it's beyond statistics. It's
No, I agree. It's been a very interesting debate over the last sort of 10, 12, 15 years. And I've enjoyed it. It's been great to watch them both. But I think after, this Christmas, there's only one answer, really, isn't there? There is only one answer.
And he's just so sweet, and he's so I don't know.
He's so sweet. He's
so
adorable,
sweet.
really. Isn't he? Deep down, he's a good boy.
He's a sweet little tot. Like, but I think, I mean, we've been very lucky, the generation of players we've had. It feels like Messi and Ronaldo were sort of the last two of those. Like, I think back to like those Spanish teams that had like Iniesta, Xavi, like they were part of that generation, and most of them have sort of passed now. But we've still got the two
Retired.
big boys.
Yeah.
Going. Yeah.
They're still with us.
They've gone to live on the farm.
Oh, flipping heck.
Yeah.
Right. So,
What's yours? Have you ever talked about yours on this? I'm always curious about that.
that's a good question. We've never been asked.
Yeah, no one's ever asked us, yeah.
Um,
On our football bucket list.
I'd like to go and see like a big derby. So like we're talking like Old Firm or maybe like Lazio and whoever they play. Or like the Boca
Roma.
I'd love, that
Yeah.
one. Yeah. I'd love to go to the Boca Juniors one, but I'd rather not die.
Simple as that, really. For me,
Yeah, my friend
Go
my friend's gone to see Boca Juniors because his wife's Argentinian, and he didn't go to see like a big derby game, but he said it was like by a mile the most volatile atmosphere he's ever witnessed for anything.
Yeah, I would be tempted to, like, I'd be interested to see you. But for me, I'd like to go to a World Cup. I've never been to see a World Cup game, like a big international tournament. I've seen like qualifiers, but I'd love to go to a World Cup game. Doesn't matter who's playing, just a big game.
I think that's mine, I think that's mine. And I feel like I have friends who went to France 2016 and they describe, and England had a shite tournament and you guys had a blinder, but they described that as such a like overwhelming experience.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the next World Cup, my wife is Canadian and the next World Cup is in Canada. So we're definitely, at least I'm going to be on the ground. Like I might not be in the game, but I'll be, I'll be in the
You've got to get tickets.
I've got to do it.
Postcode.
Yeah.
Right. This one is my favorite question. It's a double-edged question, Sean. So, first of all, what is your football guilty pleasure? And then secondly, what would you put in football room 101 so you could get rid of something forever from the game?
What is my football guilty pleasure? My football guilty pleasure is probably Roy Hodgson, just as a concept.
Fair enough.
Roy Hodgson. That caught me right out.
I can't believe that's the only thing I can think of. I've got
that's what it is, though. That's what it is.
I think I like part of me, and I was always the one who was against this, but now I'm a bit older. I'm like, part of me sort of sometimes likes a bit of 4-4-2, a bit of pump it long,
a bit of Brexit.
A bit of Brexit. Come on, get Razor Ruddock out of retirement, and let's put it up them. No, I really like Roy Hodgson, and I actually always thought because obviously he was the one who lost to Iceland when he was England manager, and I actually thought he was unlucky. I thought he was unlucky at England. I thought he was a good England manager who was very unlucky because.
For me, it's the memes. It's the memes for me.
That's the problem. He was too meme worthy. But also,
he was.
He's just a really sweet old man. And then there's that one interview where he really goes at the. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
And I'm like, and I always think like that's who he is because he's got this.
That's
kind
him
of
deep
front,
down.
Yeah, he's got this front of like the sort of old English gentleman. He speaks all these languages. But he's been a football manager for 50 years. He's obviously a tough piece of work deep down. So I do have, but I think most people have. It's probably not that guilty a pleasure. I think most people accept he's probably a nice man. So maybe that doesn't fit. I don't know what else my guilty pleasure would be. I don't know.
Roy Hodgson's is
I think that's a good
acceptable.
answer. For the reasons outlined, I'm willing to accept it.
Yeah, so am I.
He also, I think people. I've got a good mate who's a Fulham fan, and he always just says, "Roy Hodgson, the job he did at Fulham was like they got to the UEFA Cup final."
Yeah,
it's
I
mental.
really, people forget that because of England.
They had Clint Dempsey and Bobby Zamora, and they beat Juventus over 2 legs. Like that's
It's
absurd.
crazy, that.
That's
Yeah.
absurd.
Chris Baird in defence, like.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those mental managerial achievements. I think, and also Fulham almost got relegated the year before, or like 2 years before, and he turned them into. I don't know. So I guess I like Roy Hodgson.
Fair enough.
I'm not ashamed of that.
Own it.
I once said that on Twitter, and like football journalists got in touch and went, a lot of us feel like that, but we're not allowed to say that. So
What's the show?
But then he went to Watford, didn't he? He came out of retirement, go to Watford.
Yeah.
And
What was the point?
talk about phoning it in. I mean,
Honestly.
he just was like, "Yeah, sure, I'm bored. Why not?" Like,
The grandkids have gone to uni. I've got nothing to do. Off we go.
I'm 75. I'm bored as shit. I finished my cross.
All I've known. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'll manage Watford for a year.
They probably knew he'd only been there about 4 months as well. Like, you know.
Yeah, he must have. Yeah, they've got an average shelf life of 4 months for a manager.
Yeah.
I'll get it, make another £1 million, and then get out. What would I put in Football 101? It's a really good question, actually. That's
See,
a really
other men or women may put Roy Hodgson in room 101.
Yeah,
so I can't wait to see what you're going to come up with.
What would I put in room 1? Right, do you know what I'd put in room 101, right? And now this I feel like I'm showing my age.
All right.
This concept of limbs. Yeah, everyone's always talking about limbs.
Funny you
celebrations.
say that. Go on.
Why? Do you have strong opinions?
Sam has got a very strong opinion on it.
I hate it. It's all artificial, and it's teenage boys in Stone Island jackets jumping into each other.
I agree with this 100%, and I hate that now football, like social media pages, and even stuff like on the BBC when they cut to like whenever any team, England, Wales, Ireland, whenever any team's playing, they go, we cut to the celebrations of the first goal. And it's people going crazy. And I go, why
Beer flying all over the place.
Yeah.
I'm just like, why are we celebrating that 10,000 drunk cocaine addicts have lost all control of their body? Like,
Yeah.
Like, this is really bad. This is really bad and dangerous that we're supporting this. And then we wonder why freaking fans attack players. It's because we're saying, isn't it brilliant the way that they've all absolutely lost their minds? Like, what a brilliant thing for the game that there's 30,000 nutters who have no physical control over themselves. So I think, yeah, you know what?
That's a good one.
Go a bit crazy. I think that's the whole. I guess it's that kind of hype machine in football.
Yeah.
I feel really like caters to the thick idiots. But I suppose I say that, and I am a sort of thick idiot, so maybe I should.
Sometimes I have to say, in the Cardiff and Swansea game last year, where we scored. Oh no, it was this season. When that first goal went in, I nearly did fall down a couple of rows. Like I think we all did, and that is
we all get a bit carried away.
But I can't stand this jumping into each other, and when people in these fan zones throw a pint for the sake of throwing a pint.
I fucking hate it. I hate it. And the thing is, that's it. But if it's Swansea against Cardiff, that is a completely normal reaction. It's like it is an amplified game. If you're at Walsall against Port Vale, like just be an adult.
Yeah.
There's literally kids there.
No, that's true. That's 100%
So that's
true.
what I don't know. I sort of feel it's in a way that, like, as much as I love football, anything that makes football feel like the most important thing in the world kind of gets me down a bit.
Rate that.
Yeah, I agree.
We rate that. Right. This is a pretty broad question. What does the game?
How are my
mean
answers? But can I ask you?
Oh, your answers are
spot on.
Brilliant.
Spot on.
Bang on.
I'm here for the limbs. I'm here for putting that in room 101.
You've said limbs, right?
Yeah.
Sam's happy.
I just think, I just think it's I don't know. Because also there's people who have a go at you for thinking,
If
you're
you
not
don't
passionate,
have,
you're not
yeah.
passionate enough. I go, what are you talking about? I'm just,
This
got a
the poor
wife.
bloke's got asthma over there. He's
I'm
calm.
fine. I'm just, I don't know.
I can see the headlines now. Stand-up comedian slates artificial limbs.
Yeah, I know. Lad Bible are sharpening the
Yeah,
dial.
Lad Bible, they finishing you now.
Yeah, fuck me. You won't ever step foot in Croydon again.
Right, yeah. So, what does the game mean to you?
Well, I'm much more than I'd like to admit, I think.
Yeah,
Much more than I'd like. It has gone in and out over the years. And it's funny, when it goes out, when I sort of lose touch with it, which I think there was a period of years in my late 20s, which is probably about the same time as when QPR sort of lost touch with what they were as a club. It's probably not a coincidence, that. I do feel like it means a lot. Like, it's always been like a weird backbone. It's such a weird thing to say, but like so many of my friendships, that's the first conversation we have is football. Yeah. So many of my friendships. Definitely my relationship with my dad, to be honest. First thing we talk about is football. I really love it. And like, now that I'm really back into it again and I'm loving it, like I'm loving the Premier League. I think it's a great Premier League season we're having. I think the Champions League's like as good as it's ever been. Like it means a lot to me. I find it very romantic, and it is like a weird, because when it gets you as a kid, you know, when it's a childhood thing. Was it that for you both?
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
I don't think it ever could get let go. Like
It's
find
got
it
its
like,
claws in then.
It links me to like who I was as a kid and those dreams, and especially like, you know, I'm lucky that I support a team that's basically it's in the same stadium. I've made the same walks. You know, I've never had to have that existential thing where the club that I go to the most is suddenly in a different place. Like I guess if you guys were Liberty Stadium for your entire Swansea
I never
supporting
went
life.
to the Vetch.
I've never been. Yeah. I know boys that have been, but they were a bit too young. But you know, you hear stories and that. But yeah, for us, it's always been, you know, where we are now.
So I think it connects me with that. Like I wish I had a sort of funnier answer, but genuinely, it's quite.
That's our profound question, Sean.
Yeah,
we tick a box. We tick a box for that
yeah.
question.
No, you get like Arts Council funding now.
Yeah,
we're all right.
Yeah.
But it's interesting you say that though, because just to interrupt, sorry, is when we had Ishan Akbar on, he said kind of more or less the same thing as you in different words by saying like he can build bonds and like create relationships through football, and I feel like that's kind of more or less the same thing you were saying.
Well, it is like I do think like conversationally, like socially, worldwide, it is the most amazing card to have in your deck. Like I don't feel bad for people who don't like football normally, but I do think, God, it has made my life a lot easier. I think it makes your life a lot easier.
It does, yeah.
I just don't know what you do on a Saturday. I don't know what you do on a Saturday if you don't like football.
But how do you talk to? Like, I can talk to cab drivers. I can talk to anyone.
Yeah.
I can talk to anyone.
Yeah. Any age, anybody at all.
Anyone on earth, I can talk to about it.
Yeah.
We went to Morocco, right, in January, me and my wife. All we talk about is football. It is like the world pastime in a way.
Universal language.
Yeah, and it also that link, like, because I used to play when I was younger, and I don't play anymore, and I'm 35 now, and I'm starting to really miss it. I'm starting to really, and I look at Sunday League near me, and I just watch the games, and I just sort of look, and I go, I just remember that feeling of, yeah. So
you need to be a manager. I think you need to manage a Sunday League club. I would work those bastards into the ground. Honestly, I'd do a bleep test at half time. I wouldn't give a crap. Do you play? Do you two play? No, I haven't. I haven't played for a while. I've been looking to get back into it for a couple of years now, but my fitness is just on the floor. I'm training, I'm in the gym, but I'm not doing any cardio. And honestly, I'd be breathing out of my ass. It'd be terrible.
The thing is, as well, as I've got friends who go, "Oh yeah, we play five-a-side." I go, "I can't do that." That was never because I was a centre half.
So was I.
Really? How tall are you?
Yeah. I'm as good as 6 foot is gonna get.
Well, that's fine.
I'm just about.
I mean, these days it doesn't matter. But I was like 6'4", so I was like I was 6'4" when I was like 15. So I was like factory engineered teenage centre half.
Yeah.
Good in the air, clear it out.
You were by the book.
I was a gift from God to Sean Dyche.
Black boots, shirt tucked in, short back and sides.
Big time.
Oof.
I didn't even take half-time oranges because they were too soft. I just ate Flint.
You just ate the grass. That's it. Give me a taste of that.
But I feel like that was what I missed, that feeling of sort of the ball not being near me for like 5 minutes at a time and then suddenly making a run and doing
Are you
something.
that person? You're walking through the park, and there's a game going on with the kids. Are you that person who'll do a few keepy uppies if the ball comes over to you? If you're walking with your wife, for example, do a few keepy uppies, give it to the kid. Don't worry, boys.
Yeah, I do, but I don't have the skills that I used to. So it's usually pretty embarrassing. Yeah.
No, we rate it.
Well, so that's what football means to me. It's sort of like a link. Yeah, it's that thing.
There we are. Right. One more question. We won't keep it too long, Sean.
Thanks, guys. I've really enjoyed this.
We've loved having you on.
We're really glad. It's been a pleasure to have you.
We were, honest to God, we were excited before we came to see you. But after we came to see you, we were like, this is going to be a good episode. We
were to each other. We turned to each other and we were like, it's going to be a good one. We turned to each other.
Great. That's great.
Yeah. But so just to round it off, your favourite football memory of all time?
My favourite football memory of all time. Oh, God, what a question.
This could be all the way from when you first kicked the ball up until the last game, anything at all.
I've been lucky. I've had a lot of good ones, a lot of big ones. But if I was to be, let me think. Do you remember the 2010 World Cup quarter-final between Ghana and Uruguay?
Yes,
very vividly.
And the last minute of that game.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's weird that came off my head, but I think that was like everything that the sport can be.
Yeah.
For I guess in a way all the wrong reasons, but it was so ludicrously, like I feel like, because I'm a big fan of international football, big fan of tournaments, big fan of the underdog, and the underdog didn't win there, but it was like the narrative. It was all narrative.
For
Ghana are going to be the first. Yeah, they're going to be the first African team in the semi-final.
It was like something like the Karate Kid, but like the bad guy won.
Yeah, it didn't quite go to plan.
Yeah, the Karate Kid slips and breaks his leg, and
yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was because I remember I wasn't very old, I'll be honest, but I was watching the game and I felt every emotion watching like that 2-minute period. Like Suarez, cleared the ball off. Oh my gosh, what's he doing? And then Ghana's got a pen. They're going to go through, and then
what was the guy's name? Was it Asamoah Gyan? Was
that? I think it was Asamoah Gyan took the pen. Number 3, I believe he was.
It was. There we are. You cannot trust that.
And then you're asking your.
My Sunday League team, there's no way he's number 3.
No. It's like Andy Carroll. He's number 2 now for Reading.
Number 2, yeah.
And they're like, oh, it's because his daughter picked it or something. I'm like, no, wrong un. You're a wrong un.
I go, you're wrong. You go, that's the worst thing you've ever done, Andy Carroll. There's a long list of those.
Yeah, that's going in Room 101. That's what I put in Room 101 is ridiculous numbers.
Because we had... What did we have? Wilfred Bonney came back to us,
2,
and he was number 2. I didn't like that.
I remember that, and I remember being disgusted. I think Swansea let themselves down there.
We did.
Yeah.
It's funny. I remember I bumped into Sam in town because it was before we were really close. I bumped into him and I looked at him and I thought, what are we doing? We both looked at each other with sort of look of disgust on our face. And it was very memorable, actually. I remember that.
Yeah, I think that's probably my favourite. I don't know if it's hard to say it's my favourite football manager. It's the only football memory where I say, do you remember that game? And everyone immediately gets to that. Like, I think it's such a... It's almost like... It's like the 9/11 of football. Like everyone knows where they were, what they were doing. It was just so unbelievably dramatic.
Not a comparison I expected to get today, but...
It was tragic and dramatic. And you couldn't take your eyes off it. And everyone feels the same about it.
Amazing, right. Perfect.
There we are.
What a way to finish it.
That brings us to the end. Sean, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a really good one. We've probably
awesome.
enjoyed it. We always love these episodes, but
Oh, thanks, guys.
Now and again we get a crack, and I think today's one of the good ones.
Well, when's who've Swansea got this weekend?
Sheffield United.
Gosh, Sheffield United.
Oh, good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are. I think we might.
We'll need it. Yeah.
But Sean, thank you so much. Do you want to tell everyone listening where they might be able to come see you or find you on social media or whatever?
Yeah, sure. I'm on Instagram at Sean McLoughlin Comedy, which I'm trying to build up quite aggressively because I put all my eggs into the Twitter basket and now no one uses Twitter, so I'm a bit frigged. But I'm also on Twitter at Sean McLoughlin, and I've got a podcast with a guy called Johnny Pelham called Failing Better, and we end up a lot of the time actually just talking about football. Johnny's a big Arsenal fan, even though he's from Bradford. It's very strange.
They always are, aren't they?
Yeah. Are those clubs, Arsenal, United, Liverpool, I guess their tentacles get everywhere, you know. So yeah, just find me and just keep listening to this podcast and keep following Championship and lower league football.
Yeah.
Follow your team. Follow your local team.
Definitely.
Yeah. Cheers, guys. Sorry, I just burped. I had a curry.
It's all right. It's all right.
Don't worry about it. That is not the worst thing to ever happen on this podcast.
It's definitely not. It's
probably
definitely
not the worst thing to come out of my mouth in the last 5 minutes of this podcast.
And well, I think that is all we've got today for you guys. Thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate you every week. But we're back. I think we've got a couple of weeks off now, Alex, haven't we?
Have we? Oh, have we?
Yeah,
Fair enough.
We have. Yeah, I could tell.
I've been told we have.
I can tell you for a fact we've got a couple of weeks off. But we'll be back then. We'll have, as you know,
has Alex just been docked a week's wages? Is this
on
Football Manager when you just randomly find?
Yeah.
I'm going to go on strike.
Join the bloody club,
man. Well, on that note, I think we'll leave you to it, guys. If you're new, drop us a follow on Twitter at Send Him Off Pod, Instagram Send Him Off Podcast, everywhere in between, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you consume your podcast. You can probably find us just by searching our name, and our dulcet tones and daftness will be with you every week. So we'll catch you soon. Have a good week. Enjoy your football, and we'll see you soon. Ta-ra.
Take care.